You buy a new jacket, a good one, and for a few days everything feels right. Then you look at your bag, the one you've had for 3 years. It looks worn now, not because it changed, but because the jacket made it visible. So you get a new bag, and then the shoes don't match, and the wallet feels cheap. And suddenly, your apartment looks like someone else lives in it. Nothing broke. You didn't lose anything. You just bought one thing, and it quietly started a chain reaction you didn't ask for. This is called the Diderot Effect, and it's not really about spending. Denis Diderot was an 18th century French philosopher, not wealthy. And then, one day, he received a beautiful scarlet dressing gown as a gift. He loved it. And then, slowly, everything around it started to look wrong. His old desk looked shabby next to the gown, so he replaced it. His chair, his bookshelf, his rug, one by one. The things that had been fine for years became inadequate, not because they stopped working, but because a single new object had shifted the standard everything else was measured against. He wrote about it later. He called it regret. He said the new things owned him more than he owned them. Here's what actually happens in ordinary life. You get a new phone, a nice one, clean, fast, satisfying. And within a week, you're looking at cases, stands, chargers, and bags with a specific pocket. You're on Reddit comparing photo editing apps. You spent more time curating accessories than you spent deciding on the phone itself. Or you redecorate one corner of your room, put up a shelf, get a plant, hang something on the wall, and suddenly the rest of the room feels unfinished. The couch looks wrong. The lighting is the problem now. You weren't unhappy with any of it before you started. The purchase isn't the issue. The upgrade isn't the issue. The issue is what the new object does to the context around it. There's a term for this in design: coherence. The idea that objects in the same space create a reference point for each other. When one thing gets elevated, nearby things drop. But the Diderot effect runs deeper than aesthetics. For a lot of people, the real driver isn't that the old desk looks bad next to the gown. It's that the new object briefly gave them a version of themselves, put together, upgraded, someone who owns that kind of thing. And that version wants a matching environment. The buying isn't random. It's identity maintenance. The new object sets a standard, and everything around it becomes a gap between who you are and who the new object implies you're becoming. That's why it's so hard to stop at one thing. The internet made this considerably worse. Not because advertising is more aggressive, though it is, but because comparison is now constant and frictionless. You see someone's apartment, their setup, their wardrobe arranged a specific way, and your environment doesn't look wrong on its own. It looks wrong next to theirs. The Diderot effect now runs between your life and someone else's curated version of theirs. You're not upgrading from old to new. You're upgrading from your life to a reference life you've never actually been in. And social media is a machine for generating reference points. Here's the part most people get wrong about this. They call it impulse spending, or materialism, or a lack of discipline. And sometimes it is. But in a lot of cases, the person spending isn't chasing stuff. They're chasing coherence. They want the inside to match the outside, or the outside to finally match some version of the inside they've been trying to build. The spending is often a proxy for something else, a sense of control, a feeling of moving forward. A quiet way of saying, things are changing, I'm making progress, look, something is different. And because buying something new actually does feel like progress, briefly, the loop repeats. You get the thing. It feels right. It creates new gaps. You fill the gaps. It's not stupidity. It's a very human response to the way identity works. We use our environments to tell ourselves who we are. The quiet cost is this: you can spend years improving the context of your life without changing much about the substance of it. New shelves, better coffee, right equipment, a home that finally looks like the version you had in mind, and still feel like something is unfinished, because the shelf was never the issue. The gap was never really about the desk. Diderot knew this. He said the scarlet gown made him a stranger in his own house. One small thing that can help, and this isn't a cure, just a pause, is to notice the moment when the new object stops being satisfying and starts creating comparisons. That shift is quick. Almost immediate. You buy the thing, you feel good, and then within days your attention moves to what the new thing reveals is missing. If you can catch that moment, name it plainly. Now I want the matching version of everything around this. It becomes harder to pretend it's a need. The upgrade is real. The satisfaction is real. The gap it creates is also real. None of that goes away by knowing the name for it. But knowing what's driving the next 5 purchases before you make them gives you at least the option of not making them. Just to be clear, this video is about reflection, not advice. It's not a substitute for financial guidance or professional support if spending is genuinely affecting your life. This is just one way of naming what a lot of people quietly experience. Diderot's robe sat in his wardrobe for years. He wore it carefully. The apartment around it eventually matched, but he never felt like it was fully his again. He wrote that happiness lay not in acquiring better things. It lay in making peace with the ordinary ones. He knew that too late, he said. Which means he understood it. He just bought the gown first.